everyone, Michelle here from the Creative Cove. Thanks for joining me today. So today I'm just showing how I like to prep what I call focal points. Focal points as in you have something like this, and right now this would be considered the focal point, but you want to elaborate on that. You have these little things ready to go. That is something that you want the person to zero in on. So it subdues the number here, and this becomes what I call the focal point. So I like to have things like this ready. Sometimes I'll leave them plain, like, let's see if I've got any in here. They might be in my other one. So things like this from digital kits, they can be ready to use like this as a focal point. Things like this with stamping can be used as a focal point. Numbers. But what I like to do with anything like this, and let's see if I can find a better result. This one here, for example, I like to back them onto something and cut around them so that they're framed, so that they have more impact as a focal point. For example, this flower here, this pressed flower, is then framed with another piece behind it. And it just kind of, it makes it more of a focal point, for lack of better words. It just has that way of zooming in on something that is visually framed and becomes the center of attention. I hope that makes sense. And it's not necessary. It's just something I really like to do. And I like to have a bunch ready. And as you can see in my little tub here, I don't have much left. So I printed off my most recent digital upload, which are the bugs here. Now they come in color on the digitals, but I print them in black and white. And then I take my photocopy machine, and I can't print at home. I have to go out to do it. I'll shrink them down. So I think this is the original size they print at, and I shrink them right down. So I print them in black and white for this because I'm working on a journal that is primarily black and white with a touch of red. And I'll be showing this in another video. But today's just a simple video on how to use these any digitals that you might be interested in, and just shrink them down and use them as different sizes. So a focal point can be big, or like really big, or it can be super small. So let's work with a couple of these little guys. So this is the newest digital upload, and then I shrunk down a few of my mushrooms as well, which I thought could be fun to use. So they're also a digital kit on my Etsy if you are interested. Anyways, so let's I'm going to use some brushed corduroy here, and I do like to vintage up my pieces. I'll just rub a little bit on, kind of willy-nilly, because you can do this after as well. Sometimes it's nice to work with an individual piece. I also like to get the edges of these before I stick them down. So I'll just run them along my ink. And this is a fun thing to do when you're not sure what you want to work on. It's nice to have some things prepped. And usually when I work on a page, it always has a focal point on it, whether it's something simplified or I sketch it on the spot. There's always something that engages the visual overall balance of the composition. So the word of the day, or the words of the day, is focal point, I guess. All right, so I'm just gonna find some scrap paper here. So I do like to usually work with something a little bit thicker than this. What else have I got? Just that way you can stick it on, and it holds up a lot more balance and strength, and it kind of comes off the page a little bit, which helps a lot when it comes to making it a focal point. You can use, foam tape or whatever to make it stick up off the page, and it's more eye-catching that way. So in this case, I like to use something a little bit thicker than just a standard piece of paper. When I glue them down, I hope I'm in frame here. When I glue them down thinking about a border. So I'll glue them according to the edge of the border here, and then making sure I have enough room to cut that border around each one. And I'll just stick them down, and then I'll cut them out, and then I'll ink the edge of the new cutout. Let's do a couple of bigger ones while I have them out here. I might trim a little extra paper off this guy. Let's ink it up. Sorry if it makes the camera shake. You might hear some noises. My husband's home today, and he's doing some work around the house. So, I'm gonna zip this up here. Ooh, that's loud. And then we'll glue these down. So like I said, a focal point could be any size that you want. And it's nice to have a range. That way when you're working on a journal or a page or a tag or whatever it is you're working on that day, you can pull out of your little repertoire a selection. Something that simple. And then I just now visually cut the same border around as best I can. We all know I'm nowhere near perfect when it comes to cutting things out, but I like crooked. I've come to like it better than perfectly straight. I think it has more of a handmade vibe, and who wants to be perfect, man? That's a lot of work. A lot of work. So I'm just going to cut these little borders out. Now, of course, you can make the border as big or small as you want. You can leave a little extra piece at the top or bottom to create different tags. So like I could put a bigger space down here, so I can add something to it later if I choose. It's nice to have that variety as well. And then I just ink around the edge to make it all cohesive here. You can dirty them up, you can grunge them up more while that ink is wet. You know, whatever look you like. I think these would add really nice little bits and bobs to some really nice clusters. You can make a little pocket out of this, but it's ready to go. And of course you would do it in whatever theme your prints or sketches or paintings that you photocopied to use, whatever you have. And then you have some little minis to use. They're really cute. I'm into minis right now. I don't know what it is, but something like this. So this was a cream background and this was a white background. So let's maybe show you how I would use them. So if I'm making, say, a cluster, so this journal that I'm working on over here, the idea behind this journal, and I'll probably repeat this when I show this journal in the next video or in a future video, the inspiration behind this was to use up these clusters. I did a video on this as well, and how I use scraps at the end of the day and sewed them all together to make these little bits and pieces to use later. So they're like a beginning of a cluster or master board or whatever you want to use them for. And now I have some that I want to use up. So I thought that will be the inspiration behind this journal, which is an old book that I just hacked up and I'm just starting to build now. But I'm really having fun, and I wanted primarily to be black, white, and red, which is why I photocopied my watercolor kit in black and white. So if I say I want to make something maybe for this page here, I mean, you could simply do something like just adding this as a focal point right there and not doing anything else. Or you can add this in and glue it on the side in the corner here and just have a tuck spot. So for me, I think what I would like to do is, how does this function? Folds in, okay. Is maybe just embellish the page a little more. And I just love how these papers are sewn together. And then this book that I had, somebody had circled almost every word when they were studying this journal. It was pretty funny in red, and I thought that was kind of neat. So maybe I'll just decorate this page. I don't think I'm gonna do a pocket. I don't want the book to get too thick too fast. And I'm just going to ink it up because I do like to keep everything as cohesive as possible throughout the journal. And maybe I'll just glue that down and use one of these as a focal point. So basically creating a little cluster on this page. So I've got my paper that I've used, that I've scraps, and now maybe I'll use something like this. Let's see, now I glued all these to a backing because I printed them out on really thin paper, but I don't have really good industrial glue, and I find I want this to sit up more, these to sit up more. So maybe I'll do something simple like this. So you can see, even with all these details and textures, the bug, because it's framed, becomes the focal point. It's what you look at as soon as you flip the page. It's what you'll see first. And putting it in a simple frame like that makes a huge impact on your design. At least I think so. So I'm just going to give that a generous amount of glue because it is thicker. And I'm going to just sit it right there. And that's what I mean by focal point. Super quick, easy video today. Again, manipulating your digital kits or your sketches that you photocopy, because I highly recommend you do sketch some of your own, and just shrinking them down. So I did a few of my birds too, shrunk down. Are these shrunk? I don't think these are the shrunk ones. These are the shrunk ones. So just shrunk them down, and then we can use this as a focal point as well. I'm going to show you a different way. So say you've got your little mini thing cluster started here. I think I just want to add a little something to this to glue in my book. I'm just going to glue these random pieces down because they're sewn, they're not all glued. Dirty it up a little. And then, let's see, maybe I will turn it into just a small little pocket here. Just something really small. Have it ready to go in. And then I would tear this where I want it and make that the focal point. So even maybe tear the negative space away. Just have something cute like that. Tone them down because I printed them on bright white. But if you have a printer at home, you could print them on coffee dyed paper. Something like this. And then because he's not framed, I want something behind him to help separate him from the background a little. So I am going to use maybe not that one, but some red so it fits in my journal. So I don't want it too busy because it will compete. Or even just plain paper maybe. If you find it's a little too busy, you can take a piece of plain paper and turn it into the focal point. But instead of a perfect frame, you kind of offset it. I like that. Tone this down just a wee bit. I think I'll glue that there. So it's all about taking that one thing you like the most and making a big impact with it by turning it into the focal point. Maybe it's the kind of paper you're using. It doesn't necessarily have to be a specific image. It could be a texture. It could be paper, designed paper that you like, that you could turn into a focal point. So I'm gonna just tape this closed. You know what I do want to do though is punch a little, if I can find it on this desk, just punch a little indication of a pocket there, because it's easy to forget. Ink that up a little. And then I'm just going to use my cheapy tape that I've been talking about for a while. My cheap dollar store fabric tape for bandages and things. It's in the first aid section. Love this stuff. I'm officially addicted to this tape. I've now added it to my favorite things to use while junk journaling. So there. So now the bird has become the focal point. So super simple, you know, nothing too elaborate in today's video. If you're looking for things to do or ideas to use for your little minis, here you go. Make them focal points, pre-prepared focal points, so that you're ready to rock and roll when you're in the mood to create. I hope that inspires you guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video, something really small and fast, but impactful in your journals. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks. Bye.